I've achieved an awful lot over the past maybe 5 years. It's been a remarkable journey, and the one thing I have the hardest problem with isn't the actual work I create and these little small miracles. It's self-promotion. I absolutely hate self-promotion to the point where I just won't even promote. I leave my creations to the wind because it bothers me that much. It's almost like begging and pleading, and it's like and sort of the books I create and the podcast I did and the audio books, it's really there for the right people, not everybody. I had a conversation recently with someone who is also writing their books. I've been encouraging them to get it finished. Sometimes we create one thing and we don't know where it's going to lead. I still remember the very first book I wrote, and I saw other authors with these multiple books. I thought, God, what a journey that'd be. Imagine having that much. Like, imagine it. And a few years later, I'm in the same situation. I have all these books to my collection, and I'm immensely proud. But I can't remember where I was going. I do that sometimes. My mind can be a fog. It can be a fog. So much going on at once. But yeah, what I was saying to this person is focus on your audience. Don't hope to get all eyes on your work, because the wrong eyes will just cause havoc anyway. There's no point the wrong person coming across it, because it wasn't for them. So we don't need the whole world to see what we do. We don't. You only want the people intended for. So it's not a popularity contest. Recently I finished my last book, my recent book, and people asked whether they were in it. Who's in it? It's like, God damn, this ain't a popularity contest. This ain't a name calling. It ain't roll call. And then they're disappointed they're not in it, and it's like, I don't know what they're expecting. But some people want fame and recognition just for the purpose of fame and recognition. No other reason aside from that. It just doesn't even it doesn't make sense. I wrote this in the very beginning of this. So I finished my recent book, and it was a trilogy. So I've just yesterday I've literally formatted it all into one big book. So there's like 3 separate books, or you can get the whole entire lot as a collection in one big thick book. So that was pretty cool. And I put in at the very beginning as a little note, is it okay? It's okay. Is it so bad to be forgotten? Do we really need to be remembered? Because there's no point just being remembered for the sake of being remembered. What's the point of having your name carved in stone somewhere? No one knows the relevance to it. And it's like, there's so many people in the world, it'll get forgotten even if it's remembered. Someone might see that name, they're going to forget it when they walk down the street. So it really doesn't matter. Shouldn't waste our time on the wrong things, but have meaning to our life. I think giving ourselves meaning is hugely important. It's like, I don't consider my job pays well, but I don't consider my job my career. My career is what I build on the side, what I create for me. So everything I've been building is my career. So in regard today, there was overtime today, double pay. Everybody's gone in pretty much. I haven't, it's not the be all and end all. Money is not my be all and end all. It would, in comparison to sales of books and how much money you can make from them, it would make more wise sense, if we're going to go logical in terms of money, finances, for me to go to work instead and do double time nights. But that's not my lifestyle. It's not what I want. So yesterday, Saturday, day off, I thought, I'm going to turn these 3 books into one big compendium, one big Bible, spiritual Bible and life Bible, really. I thought I'd sit down and do that. So I made myself a hot drink, sat down, started working on it. I think it was about 9 a.m, 10 a.m. And I thought I'd have it done by lunchtime. It should be simple. It wasn't simple. By the time I finished, I think it was like 8 p.m. And I went, bloody, I've lost the whole day. I was actually really irritated. I lost the whole day, but I was actually really happy and proud of something I'd created. So it's like, although I'm frustrated the day's finished, I was so proud that yet another accomplishment, Kristen, who I wrote the first book, Losing Your Mind to Find Your Soul with, at the very beginning, she said, you will be the author of the new Bible in a way. The light for others. That's a big thing to say, and I just go with the flow. Let's do what we're doing. at the end of the book, we had a little conversation which I documented, and she wanted to go off and do something else, and I said I want to continue writing books. I have more in me and so much to get out. So she went her way and I went my way, and little did I know, 2 years later I'd have 2 more books that made the trilogy, which ultimately made that Bible we spoke of. I hadn't imaged it, I didn't know that's how it was going to turn out, but as soon as I finished the 3rd one recently, I just thought, wait a minute, even I want to read these in order. But it's annoying having to pick each book up. I just want one big book so I can just read the whole lot myself. And it's like, it might not be so obvious to readers what order to read the books in. So maybe if I create it, gives people options. You can have individual books or the complete set. It's made me incredibly proud because it's a huge milestone. Like I say, that's my career, not my job. My job is something else. It's something I don't really. I'm not really. If you talk about being proud and pride, it's not something that makes me proud. For others, it's everything. To me, it's hardly anything. So I don't care. We've got to have energy, and But the thing is, I've put an awful lot of myself into these projects. I think it's like anybody. When you're doing something in the moment, you don't realise the significance of it, and you don't maybe fully appreciate how much effort you're putting in. It's been an immense few years. I'm absolutely exhausted. I don't give myself much rest. When I do, I'm always pressuring in my mind really of what I should be doing, what I could be doing. Every time spent doing one thing could be spent doing something else, and it's usually towards the end of these books where it really pushes me to the end of madness, because I do the whole lot myself. And again, that's something else I don't truly appreciate most of the time. But when I finish, sometimes I look back and think, God damn, you did a lot there. Because not only am I'm deriving the concept, so it's my legacy. It's my creations. It's not someone's given me an idea and I start writing it. It's all coming from me in the first place. Then I write. Then I have to edit myself, which is the worst part for me. I absolutely hate editing. So I have to go through all these phases. Then I have to come up with a cover design, so I have to create all that myself. And then I have to go through the whole publishing phase of getting it approved, really, to say the quality is good enough to be printed. And then, of course, I have to do the blurb and everything, and create the store page. Really, there's so many thingies to it, that it's not just a case of sitting down and writing. Writing is just the first part. So yeah, it's been a journey. It's been an immense journey. But I love the fact that the things people have prophesized have come true. They have come true, and sometimes they come true in ways we don't really expect. You expect one thing and you get something else. But for the most part, everything's on track. I have no doubt about the future. But I had a little epiphany today, and I thought, if it all ended here and you didn't get wealth, you didn't get riches or anything like that, or even recognition for the hard work and what you've created, I'm still immensely proud. And it's like, God damn, I would rather have what I have than money, than all the money in the world. It's like, you give me all the money, I'm still not fulfilled. But am I fulfilled? And I felt, once I completed this, I felt a huge weight. I've still got another book to do in another series. But overall, I think it's reaching the point where on to another chapter soon. But this means more than all that. It's kind of like, if it ended now, would you be proud? Yeah, I am. I'm incredibly proud. I'm happy to see where it leads others just as much as myself. I'm hoping people invest in themselves, because that's effectively what it is. You could say the books are a little bit expensive, but I've put an awful lot of my heart and soul into these books. This isn't just paper. This isn't just rubbish, because the value of knowledge is just getting so depreciated. I was talking recently to people who were saying a book now is the value of a colouring book. I mean, how crazy is that? But I think if people want to invest in themselves, they really want to inspire and really improve their life, then you have to invest in it, don't you? You have to want to do that. You can either buy McDonald's, a takeaway, or something else if you choose to, but it's just that's not lifting you up. Knowledge lifts us up. So it's like literally at the beginning of the book, I said, "Come with me on this journey," and I love that because the way I've wrote a specific. It's a certain type of narrative. It's I'm with you along the journey. We're there together. It's almost like you get a peek into the world I live. And the way I think and the things people say to me. So you're getting a peek, but then you'll go on your own journey after. Or you might already be on that journey. It's just a extra piece of validation and confirmation. I get an awful lot of signs in my life. It's not for me to convince people of those signs because we'll get them in unique ways. A friend I know is Polish, and there's a certain thing that in their culture. So that if he gets I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's like if you see this sign, it means that. Now I've never heard of it before, but it showed me that we will get the signs that we understand so we can interpret them. What I get in my life isn't going to necessarily be the same for someone else in their life, but they'll get what they're supposed to get the message across. A wonderful confirmation for me, like even when I was editing this book, so I was doing the book, I was putting it all together. The chapter I was focused on at that exact moment was Fate and Destiny. I'm listening to country music, there's a song come on, I've never heard it before, and the singer's literally singing, and as soon as I'm looking at Fate and Destiny title of my book, I'm working on it, I'm looking at it, and he said Fate. It was like the way he was singing it, I thought, whoa, this is crazy. So then I just said out loud, I'm on my own, I just said out loud, and Destiny. and that's literally when he said Destiny as well, and I went, freaking hell. The timing of these things is surreal. You couldn't even, obviously I could make it up now if I chose to. Why would I come up with this stuff? I don't just concoct, conjure conspiracies. Like I say what I feel and what I see and what happens to me, and that's only small little bits that happen. There's another thing that happened. I think I stopped to finishing the book, I've just finished the book, and I went to make dinner. It was like really late. I was just ridiculously late in the end. But the songs paused, and it had the lyrics on the screen of my phone, and I think one of it was about God. I can't even remember exactly what it was now, but it made me smile. But yeah, and then I pressed play, I think, and then I paused it again later, and it was another little message, and I thought, bleeding hell, these messages don't stop coming. And of course, I still get number patterns. It goes crazy. That's regular. I just smile now rather than tell people about it. People either be bored of hearing it, or they just don't believe, or they don't see the significance in it. But I think even non-believers of spirituality, if they open their mind just slightly, and then they see the journey, I think they will begin their own journey, because I was a non-believer myself, But I love the fact that the whole purpose of a lot of this was documenting the journey, and then let's see what happens. Because when it comes true, you can deny some things, but you can't deny truth. You can't deny what's journaled and documented. Kristen said, you're the author of the new Bible. And I've done a lot in a very short space of time. And I find it remarkable how fast I do these things. They're usually just within a few months. A few simple months of hard graft, like crazy hard graft. And like I say, even just yesterday, I completely formatted an entire book. The contents were already there, but when you're trying to convert them, it goes absolutely crazy. Even the table of contents, for instance, was an absolute nightmare. You've got 3 books and it automatically generates into one table of contents. You're like, well, actually, I might have to take the whole lot out, because how can I have a table of contents for each book in the same thing? It was driving me to madness, just that in itself. Then you've got to worry about the margins. Then you've got to worry about the font and the sizes. It really does go a lot further than I think people maybe expect. But I did it all in a single day, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, I think this stuff, maybe not to devalue people or put people down, but sometimes I think I work incredible rapid pace that even I don't even realise, because to me it's normal. I'm incredibly focused and determined when something interests me. I think that's what it is. I'm just pursuing destiny, really. And destiny is different to each of us. When I say I'm pursuing destiny, it's not like I want to get to like I say, the riches of this world. It's not there. The pursuing destiny is achieve all my goals and the markers along the way. And as a child, I always wanted to write a book. I didn't know what I was going to write. One day I'd love to write a book. That's a pretty cool thing to do, because I know how hard it is, and it's so cool. To me, it's incredible. Someone else, maybe not so much. But to not have only wrote one, to done quite a few now, have more on the way. And now I fine-tuned it, so I know the art within it. I know how to push myself. I know the stages of it. So now I am, I would say, officially an author. You know, I know how to create a book from start to finish, and I think I sometimes need to give myself credit for that too, because a lot of authors are just authors. You know, they're not editors, they're not book designers, they're not publishers. You know, they're not. I'm not all. I've made myself all in one, so I can just do everything without the help of anybody. Very self-reliant and self-sufficient. But yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping that people choose to invest in themselves. That's what I want. I want people to invest in themselves. I want to see the growth. Really, it's not the sales; it's the little messages along the way. You know, I've had people in the past with some of my other books where they've approached me and told me how it's really impacted their life, and you're thinking, that's incredible. That's incredible, because you don't imagine that at first, you know. But then when you see it, you think that's the whole point of all this. That's exactly the point of this. It's like I'm sharing my vulnerabilities as well. So it's not a case of everything's so happy and you know. It's like showing that we get one side of us, then we get the other side of us. There's always every time there's a positive, there's a negative. For instance, let's just do one little quick example. For me to create all this, my daughter's not with me. Now, if you ask me what I'd want, I would want my daughter. But the universe and everything had to push us apart. And I think for specific reasons, I could be wrong. You know, they had to split us anyway, because me and her mother were really not in a good space, really. But I think overall, I think she had to. My daughter has things to learn. I have things to evolve and learn on my own. Could I have created all this with her with me? It was the heartbreak and separation that really inspired my growth in the first place. The fact that I can rapidly create these things is really because I'm on my own. If I had distractions and people around me constantly pulling at me, it'd be a bit harder. So I see things happen for a reason. Now that I feel that I've hit a huge, significant milestone, I think it's time for her to come back. And I hope that she does, because for me, that's the biggest blessing. And that's another thing I'm saying. It's like the blessings that come to us are not always financial. You don't just look at the financial reward and say, oh, it's not worth it, I didn't get this. Every time I finish my books, it's a weird thing. Let's say my daughter and me are separated for a long time. It's always when the books are finished or coming close to completion, and all of a sudden I get to spend time with her again. And it's like, that's, for me, that's a blessing from spirit. You know, we're giving you what your heart wants the most, and that's your like the love. You know, that means more to me. If that means more to me than the money, you could give me the money, and that's the obvious thing, you know. But it's like, wait a minute, if you ask me what I want, the money or her, give me her. You know. So I think it's beautiful when it happens, and I go, yeah, damn, I get it. I did something good. I did something positive. I did something that was supposed to happen. So these little blessings, they're always there. They're always there. But it's been the journey has been quite remarkable. I can't believe how fast it's all happened. You know, it only feels like yesterday we wrote the first book, Lose Your Mind to Find Your Soul. Here we are, you know, just a couple of years later, and the whole thing's finished. The trilogy has been created, and it's rapid, and it's almost like if on a spirit plane, you're obviously going to have dark negative entities just as much as the positive ones, and it's like, maybe I'm meant to do these quick so nothing can interfere with it. You know, maybe if you drag your heels, you do it slowly, things can go downhill and it doesn't see the light. But I do it quickly so nothing can stand in the way. It's like a relentless pursuit of creating. Yeah. So, you know, I don't doubt anything. I don't doubt what will come. I don't doubt the reasons why things happen. I don't doubt the journey. People may have preconceived ideas, I guess, and have their own judgments and things on it. And it's like, they can think what they want. Because one thing a lot of people do, and I've noticed this a lot, is if they don't see immediate success, they see it as a waste of time. And a lot of people will bring people down, really, saying you can't, you know, you're not going to fulfill your dreams, you won't be able to do this, you won't be able to do that. And that's because they can't, because they've not got the same drive in them. They haven't got the same drive in them. Too many people, you know, they can't do something, so they think you can't do something. But some of us are different. Some of us take leaps of faith, and incredible leaps of faith. And and we become a little beacon to others. So, like for instance, the friend that was trying to finish his book. I'm hoping that later on he sees the collection of the books that I've done, and it shows him that it's not about the money and the success. Hopefully, when he finishes his first book, it'll be recognition of self, that he can do something remarkable, and then go off and do multiples if it still interests him, you know. And it's like, there may be success may come, maybe it doesn't come, but what is success? Is success people appreciating what you do? Is it success the money side, or is it success being proud of ourselves? I'd say success is being proud of ourselves, isn't it? So if we do something that's we deem remarkable, then it's remarkable. It's not. We don't need recognition or criticism or anything really to form our own opinions. Our opinions are our own, you know. So what our goals are our goals. One thing that always makes me laugh though is, like I said at the beginning, is I didn't do the overtime because I focused on the book. For me, it's more significant. In the short term, people think it's crazy. People think you're stupid. You should have just gone in. You could have got some money. In a year, 5 years, 10 years, is anyone going to be talking about the overtime that was today for double pay? Or are they going to talk about maybe how incredible it is you finished these projects, you know, and the journey it's created, and the fact that one project leads on to another project and it creates another project. So then you've got this whole body of work that was far more significant than double pay. But people don't see that in the moment, you know. You look like the weird one, the crazy one. But yeah, I think we all have different priorities, but it's like, do you want to play big or play small, you know? Do you want to settle, or do you want to aspire really for your best, really, for greatness? Whatever that is. We all have goals and dreams, and it's all going to be different for each of us. We could all interpret life differently for as well. Like, you could have someone that's similar and we're still slightly different. Even a household, you know, you're all home together, you think you're all the same, but you're not. You all have different friends, you have different relationships and interactions, and that alters how your day goes. So we all interpret life differently because we all have unique experiences, even if it's similar. But yeah, I just hope that people start to heal really and stop being so negative. There's a lot I cover in the books. It's some of it will be deemed negative because sometimes you've got to cast a light on the negatives. Some of my opinions may seem negative. It's because I get frustrated with certain things. You know, there's a cancel culture. There's the way the news completely ruins lives. There's a hounding of people just for headlines. That bothers me an awful lot. Society has lost its way. There's a lot of corruption in governments and politics and just in society. Our lifestyles need to change. That complete rat race for money is just that's just self-harming. That's not life affirming at all. You have to find a balance, live life. You know, like I said, the guys have gone to work. Everybody's gone to work today, doing extra overtime. So like they're moaning they're not got enough time after work, and they're tired after work, and they're worried life's passing them by. But yet you get your days off and you go and work anyway. So it's like, what are you doing with your life? You know, if it's separate from work and you're building towards something else, that's different. But I think to continue just doing the job day in, day out, putting all those extra hours in all the time, is a waste of life. When does it end? And then the other issue, of course, with that is you get so used to that lifestyle that when there's no overtime, you can't even cope because your finances have been stretched because of an expectation. So that rat race for money is quite, it can become negative, habitual. I think we've got to learn to ground ourselves and just live in the moment a bit more. But don't waste too much time really just stagnating. I think stagnation's a bad thing as well. You stagnate too much, you don't achieve anything. But I think there's a lot of empathy is needed, really. I think a lot of people are just too self-indulgent, no consideration of others. So we need to find a way really just to educate people really to think, you know what, how would you like to be in this situation? How would you like it if someone did that? So then maybe have a little bit of extra thought and care for someone else, you know. Doesn't mean you can't have fun, but do it in a balanced way. Yeah, anyway, so I just think there's so much that life can evolve and change and improve, but are people ever going to be open enough to do that, or are they just going to keep taking it out on the next person? Because there's too much of that. Revenge and injustices, you know. If you suffer, someone else suffers. And I just think, why not just be the chain breaker and stop the suffering, you know? It's logical to me, but too many people just kind of If too many people just want to keep taking, take, and again, that's that rat race. There's a fear of death. People are so scared of their mortality. I find that quite bizarre because the expectation is people live to 80 or 100. They're so that's so extreme. It's that the odds of any of us getting that far. I'm 40. Let's say I only get to 60. That's only 20 years left. You know, am I worried? No. We all have a certain amount of time. Our string is a certain length. It's burning all the time. So when we're born, all of us have unique time frames. No one knows. No one knows when the end is. Could be any reason as well. So make that time count. Make it matter. Have a purpose to your life, and then you won't be so scared of the end. Like I say, I feel I came here for this purpose, for this reason, to try and leave a marker, for try and help people. I didn't know that at the beginning, but I always thought I had something to do. I guess most people do, but I didn't know what it was. I always wanted to try and make some sort of difference. And now I'm hopeful that the right people will see what I've created and it will make a difference. And it's like, that's what I came here to do. Everything else is a bonus. So I'm not scared of the end because I've done what I came here to do. And it's like, I'm good. You know, you can't take that away from me. You know, I've done it. So I fulfilled my life goals. Everything else is a bonus. And I'm sure there'll be more goals along the way because every time we finish one thing, a new opportunity comes up or a new idea spurs from it. But I think we have to find meaning. If we can't find meaning and fulfillment, then we're lost, aren't we? So then our happiness is really just going to get go in the wrong places, really. So when we start to think, so the way I see it is, if for instance, this job, if the job doesn't fulfill me and the money isn't enough, is me pursuing more money going to make me happy, or am I going to find misery in the same place I found it in the first place? You know, the money isn't going to make me happy. If I'm doing something that's soul destroying and I'm having to do more of it to make more money, it doesn't make sense because it's destroying my soul. It's killing me. It's making me miserable. Why do I want to make myself miserable? I don't. So then maybe we do less of what makes us miserable, so then we can be happy even if we lose. Because I said at the beginning, sometimes we have to lose something to gain something. So we gain more time, we lose money. Maybe that's the answer. It is for me anyway, because as long as I've got enough to cope, survive, then I can thrive on my own, doing my own things, you know. But I won't allow myself to fester in misery, and money is certainly not happiness. I was talking to people recently. If you keep yourself in a job that's unsatisfying and you have money, then you say you do that for the next 20 years, 30 years, or you just do it to the end of your days, then you was miserable but financially viable. You know, you was prosperous, but you was miserable. But what if you left that job and did something you really enjoy? Maybe it's a struggle at first. So now you've got fulfillment and you're not miserable, but you're struggling financially. So you're a little bit stressed, but you're finding your happiness. Now, imagine that works out, or another opportunity comes up and you start to find the money side as well. Then you've got your happiness and the money. So there's an opportunity for it, there's potential for it. But if we keep ourselves miserable just for the sake of money, we're only going to keep ourselves miserable. So it doesn't even make sense. But other people will think I'm the illogical one. That's crazy. Meanwhile, they're miserable. So who's the crazy one? You've got to sometimes look at life from a different perspective rather than the way everybody else is thinking. Anyway, this wasn't a self-promotion. I've just finished something. I'm just going to have a little chat about it. I'm going to talk. Not popping up any books. I'm not going to read this one. It's up to people that are interested in looking for them. But I hope people invest in themselves. You know, if not my books, in different avenues. You know, just invest in your future. And just find a balanced way of living.